Hola everyone, this is Arshia from Math Bubble. So today we are going to see class 7 chapter 1 integers. So this is an introductory video where we are going to learn all the basic concepts that we will be using in our exercise later. Okay, so before we get into our actual chapter of integers, let's have a small recap on numbers. Okay, so now there are different types of numbers. Okay, they are natural numbers, whole numbers, negative and positive numbers. Okay, so now what are natural numbers? So when we start counting something, we begin with number 1, right? So numbers starting from 1, 2, 3 and so on are called natural numbers. Okay, one more easier method how you can remember what natural numbers are is, naturally when we start off with something or when we count something, we start off with the number 1. Okay, so it is natural. So that is why these are called natural numbers. Now what are whole numbers? Okay, when you add a 0 to the natural numbers, it is called whole numbers. Okay, so whole numbers are nothing but 0 added to the natural numbers, which is 1, 2, 3 and so on. It goes up to infinity. What are negative and positive numbers? Negative numbers are nothing but they have a negative sign. That is, they are -1, -2, -3 and so on. And what are positive numbers? They are nothing but they have a positive sign, which is 1, 2, 3 and so on. So now we may all wonder, where does this 0 go? It is neither negative nor positive. So 0 is neither negative nor positive. So now let's get into integers. Okay, so now what are integers? Integers is nothing but all these numbers clubbed together. Okay, they are known as integers. So integers has natural numbers, the whole number 0 and negative and positive numbers. So this together is known as integers. So now we know that integers comprises of the negative numbers, the positive numbers as well as 0. Okay, so integers basically are -4, -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. So it has both the negative numbers and the positive numbers as well as 0. These are called as integers. So now we may all think, is a fraction an integer? Is a rational number an integer? Okay, now suppose I have a number 3/4. Is this an integer? No, 3/4 is not an integer. Okay, so next, is a decimal number an integer? Now suppose I have 0.26. Is this an integer? No, again this is not an integer. So we can conclude saying that rational numbers nor decimal numbers come under integer. Yes? So the next topic is representation of integers on a number line. So we draw a line and to the center of the line we mark a 0. Okay, so now the numbers that lie to the right of 0 are positive. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and so on. Okay, so in other words we can say that the positive numbers lie to the right of 0 in a number line. So now obviously the negative numbers are going to lie on the left of 0. So to the left of 0 we have -1, -2, -3, -4, -5 and so on. So now if I ask you to plot 3 on the number line, so where are you going to look for the 3? Are you going to look on the right of 0 or to the left of 0? So since positive numbers lie to the right of 0, I plot 3 here. So then if you want to plot minus 5, it is a negative number. So we search for it on the left of 0. So here I find minus 5. So I plot my minus 5 over here. So this is how we represent integers on a number line. The next concept is absolute value of integers. So now what is called the absolute value of an integer? Okay, so now I take a number, okay, I take a number, say 6. Okay, now 6, the absolute value of 6 is represented with this sign. Okay, so the absolute value of an integer is nothing but the integer itself regardless of the sign. So we can just ignore the sign of the integer. Okay, whenever we take the absolute value of any integer, we just ignore the sign, whether it is positive or negative. The sign is ignored and only the number is written. Okay, so this is one example for a positive number. Okay, so now if it was minus 6, what would we do when we find the absolute value of minus 6? Again, regardless of the sign, okay, so leaving out this minus, the absolute value of minus 6 would be just 6, the number alone, ignoring the sign. So this is known as the absolute value of any integer. So similarly, we can see a lot of examples. Absolute value of minus 2 is just 2. Absolute value of 8 is 8. So we can see a lot of examples like this. Okay, so this is known as the absolute value of integers, where the signs are ignored and only the number is taken into account. The next concept is addition of integers. This addition of integers has two types in it. Okay, so when all the integers have the same sign, this is one type, and the second type is when integers have different signs. So it is of two types, that is when all the integers have the same sign. Suppose you have two integers, both the integers are either positive or both the integers are either negative. Okay. Second type is when integers have different signs, that is when you have two integers, one of them is positive and the other is negative, so they have different signs. So this is the second type. Okay, so the first type, what are we going to do when all the integers have the same sign? Okay, so now for example I have plus 2 and plus 4, and I'm going to add both of them. So it is nothing but 2 plus 4. Since both my integers have the same sign, I can blindly add the numbers. Yes, so 2 plus 4 is 6, and assign the sign that was common. So plus was common here, so I have assigned the positive sign here. Now similarly, another example with negative numbers. Okay, so suppose minus 2 and minus 4. Now again, both my numbers have the negative sign, so this sign is common for both the numbers. Okay, so again here what am I going to do? Again, when numbers have the same sign, I'm blindly going to add the numbers, that is 2 and 4. I'm going to add 2 and 4, which is 2 plus 4, 6, and assign the sign that was common. Here minus is common for both the integers, so assign the sign of minus. So minus 4 minus 2 becomes minus 6. Okay, so the second type is when integers have different signs. Okay, now suppose I have number 5 and 3. Okay, 5 is assigned with a positive sign and 3 is assigned a negative sign. So now these two integers have different signs. So now what should I do? Now I am not going to add the integers. I am going to subtract the numbers. Okay, subtract 5 and 3. 5 minus 3 is 2. And now what sign am I going to assign? Now look at this. Which is a greater number, 5 or 3? Obviously 5 is the greater number. So after I find the difference, I assign the sign of the greater number, which is plus. Okay. So similarly, another example, minus 7 plus 2. So again, both my integers have different signs. So what am I going to do now? I am going to subtract the numbers, that is 7 and 2, 5, and assign the value of the greater number. So the greater number here is 7. 7 has the sign minus, so assign minus to 5. So minus 7 plus 2 becomes minus 5. So these are the basic concepts in the addition of integers. Next, we move on to subtraction of integers. So what is subtraction of integers? It is nothing but we subtract one integer from another integer. Okay, now suppose I have a question. Okay, example, subtract 8 from minus 14. So the question says subtract 8 from minus 14. So which number should come first? Okay, so practical example, if I say take 2 pens from me, okay, that means you have to come and take 2 pens from me. Okay, so I am the donor. Okay, so similarly here, subtract 8 from minus 14. So minus 14 will be your donor. Okay, so minus 14, subtract means the negative sign, right? Subtract 8 from minus 14. So this means minus 14 minus 8. Now again, just move on to addition of integers. Now my sign is the same, right? So since my sign is the same, I just add the numbers. Add the numbers, 14 and 8, 22, and then I assign the sign which is common, that is minus. So minus 14 minus 8 is minus 22. So when we subtract 8 from minus 14, the answer is minus 22. So similarly, another example that we can see is subtract minus 8 from 14. Okay, from minus 14. Okay, so now from minus 14, that is minus 14 again is going to be my donor. From this I need to subtract, that is a minus sign, I need to subtract minus 8. Okay, yes. So now what happens in this question? There is a small twist. Okay, so I have to subtract minus 8 from this minus 14. So here I have two signs involved. So what happens is it becomes minus 14, minus into minus is going to become plus 8. So these two signs we have to convert it into one sign. So minus into minus is going to become plus 8. Okay, so minus 14 plus 8. So what is your answer? It is minus 6. Okay, again, how did I get this negative sign? I subtracted the numbers and assigned the sign of the greater number, that is minus 6. So these are the basic concepts under subtraction of integers. Is multiplication of integers. Okay, so when they give us two integers and when they ask us to multiply, what are the steps to be followed? Okay, so let's see. Step 1, multiply the numbers. Okay, so when they give you the two integers, what we do is we just multiply the numbers. Okay, so that is the first step, multiply the numbers. The second step is then what we do is multiply the signs. Okay, for this you need to know this tabulation. Okay, so these are the two integers. Okay, integer 1 and integer 2. Okay, so now this table will tell you how you should be multiplying the signs. Okay, so when integer has 1, integer 1 has a plus sign. Okay, and integer 2 also has a plus sign. Okay, when plus and plus is multiplied, your result will be positive, that is plus. Okay, so the next type, when integer 1 is negative and integer 2 is also negative, so minus into minus will also give you plus, so your answer will be positive. Okay, so the third type, my first integer is positive, my second integer is negative, so plus into minus will give you a minus sign. Okay, and the fourth type is my first integer is negative, second integer is positive, minus into plus will also give you minus. Okay, so when same signs, okay, but children, please remember, integers, only two integers are taken. Okay, here, so plus into plus is plus, minus into minus is also plus, plus into minus is minus, minus into plus is minus. Okay, now we will just make it clear with the help of an example. Okay, so example, they give you 2 into 3. So what is my first step? I have to multiply the numbers. Okay, I multiply 2 into 3, which is 6. And what is my second step? Multiply the signs. So here it is a plus sign, and here also is a plus sign. So plus into plus is plus. So I get plus 6. My second example, minus 2 into minus 3. So again, step 1, multiply the numbers. 2 into 3, 6. Step 2, multiply the signs. Minus into minus is plus. So it is plus 6. Okay. Another example, plus 2 into minus 3. Now the signs are different. So what I do? I multiply the numbers. Yes, it is 2 into 3, 6. Plus into minus, from this tabulation, plus into minus is minus. So my answer is minus 6. So multiplication of integers, it is important for you to know this tabulation where it involves only two integers. Now so far we saw the multiplication of integers having only two integers. Okay, now let's see an example where more than two integers is involved. Okay, so example, okay, minus 2 into minus 3 into minus 1. Okay, so now here more than two integers is involved. Okay, so what I do first is I first multiply the first two integers. Okay, so minus 2 into minus 3. Okay, so 2 into 3 is nothing but 6. Minus into minus, from the multiplication table it becomes plus. So this minus 2 into minus 3 becomes plus 6 into this minus 1 we write as it is. Now again, what does this become? Plus 6 into minus 1. So now I multiply the numbers. Yes, 6 into 1 is 6, and then I multiply the sign. Plus into minus, from the table it is minus. So my answer is nothing but minus 6. Okay, another short way which you can do is you just multiply the numbers, okay, and count the number of minus signs. Okay, so here you have 1, 2, 3 minus signs. Okay, so if the number of minus signs is an odd number, your answer is going to be negative. Okay, so suppose if the number of minus signs was an even number, then your answer is going to be a positive number. Okay, this is a much more easier method so that you will not make any mistakes, okay, in your calculation. So just count the number of minus signs. If it is an odd number, your answer is going to be negative. If the number of minus signs is a even number, then your answer is going to be positive. The next topic is division of integers. Okay, now this has two types. Okay, so the two types are when both integers have same sign. Okay, both integers have same sign. And second type is when integers have different sign. Okay, so what do we do when both the integers have the same sign and they ask you to divide, and what do we do when both the integers have different signs and when they ask us to divide them? What happens? Okay, so now when both the integers have the same sign, whether it is positive or negative, okay, I am going to divide the numbers first, okay, and write the quotient. Okay, and my answer, that is the quotient, is always going to be positive. Okay, so example 20, okay, plus 20 divided by plus 5. What am I going to do? I am going to first divide the numbers. 5 ones are 5, 5 fours are 20. So it is 4. Since both the numerator and the denominator has the same sign, I am going to put it as plus. Okay, so when both the integers have the same sign, quotient is always positive. That is, the answer is always positive. Another example, okay, so it is minus 20 divided by minus 5. So again, 5 ones are 5, 5 fours are 20. Okay, so why does this become positive? Because the minus and minus sign also gets cancelled. So now it becomes plus 4. So remember this, when you have two integers and when both the integers are divided, and if their signs are same, okay, no matter whether it is positive or negative, if the signs are the same, the quotient is going to remain positive. Okay, now let's discuss the second type. Integers have different signs. Okay, so now if I have plus 20 divided by minus 5, first what do? I divide the numbers. Okay, so 5 ones are 5 and 5 fours are 20. So it is nothing but when I divide the numbers I get 4. But what do I do next? I have two different signs. Okay, so when I have two different signs, the quotient is always assigned with the minus sign. So this becomes plus 20 divided by minus 5 becomes minus 4. So similarly, another example where my numerator is now negative and my denominator gets positive. Okay, so now it is minus 20 divided by plus 5. Again, divide the numbers. Yes, so it is minus 4. How did I get minus 4? Because the sign of the numerator and the sign of the denominator is different. Okay, so again here in the division of integers, I have a tabulation. Just like multiplication, I have a tabulation over here. Okay, so this is my integer 1 and this is my integer 2 and sign of quotient. Okay, sign of quotient. So if my integer 1 is going to be positive and if my integer 2 is also going to be positive, then my quotient is going to be positive. Okay, So both the integers have the same sign, then the quotient is going to be positive. If my integer 1 is negative and integer 2 is also negative, again both my integers have the same sign, okay, that is a negative sign. Again my quotient is going to be positive. Now when integers have different signs, okay, the first integer has a plus sign and the second integer has a minus sign, what happens? The sign of the quotient becomes negative. If my first integer is negative and the second one is positive, again my quotient is going to have a negative sign. So this is the tabulation that is used in the division of integers. With this, we come to the end of this video. Stay tuned for our next video on properties of integers. If you have enjoyed our video, please do like and subscribe.